If you're a busy person, then this is a program that you won't want to miss. Maybe you get up in the morning and say, what do I fix for breakfast? Or you get home in the evening after a busy day of work and you think, what am I going to fix for dinner? Today we're going to show you how to make quick, easy meals in the crock pot. Hello friends and welcome to Let's Cook Together. I'm your host Jill Morikone and we have an exciting group of recipes planned for you today, all made in the crock pot. I have an exciting guest too with me here in the kitchen. Her name is JoAnn Rachor. Welcome, JoAnn.
Thank you, Jill.
So glad to have you here. You come all the way down from Michigan, right?
I'm from Michigan, that's right.
Now tell me, before we get going with our crock pot recipes, just a little bit about your ministry.
Well, it's been about 30 years ago that I started teaching cooking classes, but just in the last few years I started doing crockpot classes, and really it kind of started when about 6 years ago, I think, that my husband said to me, I think you should write another cookbook. And I thought, oh, please, I don't want to go through that again.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, but I mean, it does have its benefits.
Right.
It's
For our
perks.
friends at home, you have a cookbook, right? Your first cookbook's called Of These You May Freely Eat.
That's right.
Right. And then the second one is the one you're telling us about
Yeah,
now.
the second one is called Fast Cooking in a Slow Cooker, every day of the year. And I have in there every day of the year because you can use a crock pot all year round, not just winter time. And you can just do all kinds of things with it. And so we'll be talking about a variety of things you can do in the slow cooker.
That's really neat. You know, I was telling JoAnn before the program that the only thing I really even knew how to cook in the crock pot is pinto beans or any kind of beans. So I'm excited, JoAnn.
Yeah, I think that's pretty common. Beans is about the extent of our...
Right.
Yeah.
So just give me an example of the type of things you can cook in a crock pot before we get going.
Well, what we have in the book is a section on breakfast, and not just how to do cooked cereals, which are very important, but also how to do like an apple crisp. Or you can go into the entree section, and there'll be lots of pasta dishes like lasagna or macaroni and cheese.
In the crock pot.
Pasta fagioli.
Wow.
Or we have stuffed grape leaves.
And you can do all this in the crock pot.
And how to make a loaf, like a tofu loaf or a lentil loaf. You can, there's a lot.
That's
desserts
fantastic.
And soups, of course. Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine doing any of that in a crock pot, you know?
I didn't either.
Wow. So you've just been experimenting and God's been showing you and teaching you how to do that.
Yeah, my kitchen is my laboratory.
That's
I like to experiment better than cook. But
right.
Fun.
And you have a website too for friends at home if you'd like to contact JoAnn and get these cookbooks. What's your website?
It's www.familyhealthpub. That's PUB.com.
Standing for publishing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Family Health Publish. Well, it's Family Health Publications.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So familyhealthpub.com. Okay, good. Well, let's get going with our first recipe. We're going to be making great northern beans, right? Okay. For the great northerns, you need 5 to 5.5 cups water, 1 pound dried great northern beans, 1 cup onion chopped, 1 tablespoon extra virgin olive oil, which is optional, 3/4 teaspoon salt, 2 tablespoons onion powder, 1 1/2 tablespoon McKay's chicken seasoning, 1 teaspoon garlic powder, and 1 cup fresh spinach that's finely chopped, and that's optional. Okay, show us how to make this. This is good because it's a bean recipe.
That's right. And beans really are base. This is a basic recipe, and beans are such an important part to add to our diet. You know, they help to, I'm going to start here by putting the water in, but beans help to reduce our risk of heart disease.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They're high in protein. You know, they're a good source of B vitamins. They have lots of fiber.
Yes.
They help to reduce our risk of cancer. So they're really, they just don't get enough attention.
They're really good for you.
Yes.
Right.
And they taste good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
So we've just put our water in the pot, and then I'm just doing half a recipe here.
Okay.
And so that was 2 3/4 cups of water instead of the regular amount, but you can do a full pound or a half a pound.
Okay.
And then there's a half a pound of the navy beans. You can use any kind of white bean in this recipe.
Yes.
Navy beans, Great Northern beans.
Oh, okay.
Chickpeas are delicious.
Really? I've
Yeah.
never done chickpeas.
Yeah.
Except
Oh.
for in a can, but I've never cooked them myself.
Oh, yeah. They're
Yeah.
very easy to cook in the crock. Well, all beans.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
I just put the salt in,
Yeah.
and then this is extra virgin olive oil, which gives a really nice flavor. It's optional, but I like to put it in because it tastes good.
Yes. Now, can I ask you, we're putting the salt in right away, and some people say you shouldn't put the salt in. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, I've always heard that too, but I have cooked, honestly, I've cooked hundreds of pounds of beans working on these recipes because I wanted to get it all right.
Yes.
And I really haven't found a difference, either with the salt or without the salt.
Okay. Yeah.
So
it won't make them tougher or anything like that?
No, and they steam to cook about the same length of time, either way. And so you just, then now it's ready to go, and you can either cook it on low or you can cook it on high. In fact, in my recipes, I have where you can cook it high or low, soaked or not soaked, because people have preferences.
Absolutely.
And so
well,
this
that's
is
nice.
And what I do here is just cook them till they're soft, and that is where is my bottom. It's my principle, my beginning principle with using slow cookers, is because. What you want to do is find out with your cooker how long it takes to cook your beans soft.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and you know, Joe, all slow cookers are not created equally. They really aren't, and it took me a while to figure this out.
Right.
But I've divided it up into average cookers, fast cookers, and extra fast cookers. And an average cooker will cook a pound of beans in about 9 to 9.5 hours. But some cookers go faster, and they're going to take about 8 to 8.5 hours to cook that pound of beans.
Is that on high or on low?
On low.
On low.
And
so
then
average is 9 to 9.5, you said?
For an average cooker.
Average.
Or if it cooks a little faster, it's going to be what I call a fast cooker, and it's going to take 8 to 8.5 hours.
1 hour less then.
And if it's an extra fast cooker, it's usually about 6.5 to 7 hours.
Boy, that's pretty fast.
When I've looked at cookbooks, I've seen where they put, you know, this recipe will take 8 to 10 hours.
Right.
A lot of times there's like a 2-hour variation.
And you say, what's up with that?
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
When I want to eat, I want to eat. You know, I don't want to have to wait. So
you don't want to wait 2 hours when your stomach's hungry.
No,
you know, absolutely.
No. You know, maybe I'm having company and then everybody's gone.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Or you eat tough beans, and that's not such a fun thing.
Not
either.
a good idea. No.
Yeah.
No. So that's why once I figured this out, that they work differently, it just really made it easy, because now you can know when your food's going to be ready.
Yes, I like that.
And so you let these cook, and now we're going to say that they're cooked, and we're going to bring out our cooked beans.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, these you've already cooked.
These are cooked.
This is a different. I like this crock pot. It's cute with the eggplant and tomatoes and all that on it.
Isn't that pretty?
Yeah. How many crock pots do you have, JoAnn?
Well,
should I ask?
I probably have somewhere around 25.
Wow.
And you know,
that's a lot.
And I just always tell my husband, well, I can justify this. You know, I'm working on this project, and I want it to be right.
And he's the one who asked you to do the cookbook in the first place.
Exactly. So
that's right.
He, you know,
that's right.
He eats it, so he doesn't mind too much.
That's right.
Sometimes I've had them all going at once.
Yes.
Almost all of them.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's fantastic, man.
And that's good, because it won't short out your electricity, because they run on, you know, they're cheaper, a lot cheaper to run than a stove or an oven. So once the beans are cooked, you're going to add the rest of your ingredients. And I like to add my seasonings at the end of cooking in a crock pot, if possible, because that way you'll just get more flavor out of them.
Okay, yeah.
So that was the onion and the garlic powder and the chicken seasoning. And
Well,
then
that's nice
if you
and
want to, I add some spinach, and this gives it a pretty color once it's cooked.
Oh, yes. So would you cook it a little longer once you add this,
You know,
or not?
really, I only for like 5 minutes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
just so that it all gets hot. It just it seems to blend up real nicely that way, and that's all there is to it. Now, sometimes,
easy.
that works out good. And but let's say you've got an extra fast pot, and it's going to be done in like 6 or 7 hours, and you're going to be gone for 9 or 10 hours.
Right. So
What
what
do
do
you
you do?
do?
I haven't the foggiest
Oh,
clue.
well, what you want to do is get a lamp appliance timer.
Oh, now where can you get one of these?
A lamp appliance timer you can get in any hardware store.
Okay.
Any you know, department hardware department of any store.
Okay.
And you just plug your pot into here, and you can set the time that you want it to come on.
Nice.
You can set this like 6 hours later for the beans to start cooking.
Okay.
And most recipes in my book, I can set it for like 6 hours later,
Boy,
and
that's neat.
for them to start
Okay.
cooking. And then you can. It has a little red button too that you can set for when you want it to stop. But I usually just use the green one, and
Okay.
you know, and then it's done
it
when
works.
I'm ready. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
So
wonderful.
they're pretty handy.
Yeah. So say you get up in the morning and you can put your beans on, and then you can just set that timer, and it would
Yep.
come on later, and
Yep.
then you get home at 5 o'clock, and then
Yep.
you can eat your beans.
There you go. And if it's overnight, you put the timer in there.
So
for
it comes
to
on at
start.
midnight or
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah.
Nice. Boy, that's exciting.
And there's one other little tip
Yes.
that I'll share at this time, because fast cookers and extra fast cookers, I find a lot of times they'll sputter.
Yes.
You know, water will kind of seep out, and then you got a pool of water on the table, and you know, it makes a mess. And so what I use there is I use a towel.
Oh,
And
nice.
so I just lay my towel over here.
Just like that.
And it just picks up that little bit that's going to sputter out. And don't use a heavy towel, just like a hand towel, or even paper towel works, but this works really nicely.
Yes. And then you don't have the big mess on the counter that you got to be cleaning up.
That's right.
Right.
So
Good.
that's about it.
Good. Well, let's go on to our next recipe. What are we making next?
We're going to make focaccia.
Good. You want to read the focaccia recipe for us?
Sure. With focaccia, we start out with a bread dough. And this is going to be 2/3 cup of warm water, a tablespoon of sweetener. You can use honey or sugar or any type of favorite sweetener. 1 tablespoon of baking yeast, a cup of whole wheat flour, 1/3 cup of unbleached white flour, 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then 3/4 to 1 cup of whole wheat flour. That's for the bread dough. And then toppings for the focaccia, you can use, and this will be a combination of 1/4 to 1/3 of a cup. You might use sliced olives, raw or sauteed onion, tomatoes that have been sliced and seeded. You can use a non-dairy cheese, a sauce, or crumbled cheese. Okay, Jill, so in here what we're going to do is make a focaccia, which is like a bread dough that you've kneaded up, and you're going to roll it out and put toppings on. It's kind of like a pizza, but it's not, it's a little different.
Absolutely.
And so what we've done here is I've already made the dough, and the way I like to roll out dough, it's really easy, is that I use a wet hand towel, and I wipe the counter, and then I put a piece of plastic wrap down, and I put the dough on top of it, and then I cover the dough with plastic wrap.
Okay.
And
we've already done that, so.
And that's already done, and now we're just going to roll it out, and you're basically rolling this out to about the size of your slow cooker.
Okay.
And so what we're using today, this recipe is if you have like a 6 to 7 quart slow cooker. If you have a smaller cooker, like a 5 quart, I have a smaller recipe in my book. In fact, all of these recipes, they're based on larger amounts or smaller amounts.
Bless
so
your
I
heart.
have both ways.
You've done a lot of work in your cookbook for that. Absolutely.
It was a really neat adventure.
That's good.
And since I have an oval cooker, I'm rolling this out into an oval fashion.
Okay, that makes sense.
And so we'll just take the
we have
pot there.
This is oval. I can see that. Now this one, you've already sprayed.
Yep.
Why would you spray it?
I sprayed it with a nonstick spray just so that the dough will not stick.
Yes.
And it'll come up real easily that way.
Whoops, am I on you there?
So we just pick up our dough.
And you just put it in the bottom of the crock
Just lay it in here.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
Boy, this is neat. I'm learning a lot.
Yeah, in fact, you can make bread. This makes the most delicious bread is what, if you have I have several different bread recipes, and you just make your dough like that ball that I had there originally.
Right.
You spray your pot, you put your ball of dough right in there, and then it's going to rise and bake all at the same time.
By itself?
Yeah, it only takes like 2 hours. 2 hours from start to finish.
Amazing.
I mean, that's faster than a bread machine.
You're right. You're right.
And it comes out moist, and yet a nice, firm crust to it.
Does it take the shape of the crock pot that you put
Yeah,
it in?
yeah,
or?
yeah.
Okay.
And it'll be like it's kind of like a
Rounded.
European loaf.
Yes.
Yeah, and so it looks really pretty.
Yes. Wow,
And
that's
so now
neat.
we've got our dough in
I'm gonna
there.
try that. I'm excited about that.
And I'm just going to poke it a few times because we want this to stay level. We don't want it bumping, you know,
Yes.
sometimes
It would overbubble one spot or another. Okay.
And so now you can experiment. You can use anything you want, any kind of toppings.
I like that.
I have some shredded cheese here that I'm going to sprinkle around in here. But you can use some cheese sauce. You can use spaghetti sauce. You can use, you don't have to use any kind of a sauce. You can just put vegetables on here.
Well, that's neat.
And I like to put some olives.
I like olives.
And what you'll find a lot of times is that your dough will kind of shrink back up some. And if that happens, don't worry about it, because as it expands, you know, as it'll go back out to the sides.
So that's kind of normal. If you peek in there and say, "Whoops, it's shrinking," it's okay. It'll
well,
come back out.
when you put your dough first in there, if it kind of pulls back in some, then don't worry about it, because it'll go back out again. So then I like to sprinkle just for some color. Put some dried parsley on here. You can use onion powder, garlic powder. You can put any of your favorite seasonings on there. Maybe a little paprika for some color.
Oh yeah, that gives nice reddish color.
And that's all there is to it. That's
easy.
Yeah, it is. It's very easy. In fact, what I'll do a lot of times is I'll make my bread dough in the bread machine and then put it in here. But if you want to cheat,
I like that.
You can buy frozen bread dough.
Oh,
you know?
true. You could. Yeah.
And what I found that for a big pot like this, for the 6 or 7 quart, if I use about 2/3 of it in there, then it makes a really nice focaccia. Yeah.
So you put the lid on.
No.
You don't put the lid on.
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
No.
Something different.
This is for if you're going to bake, like I have recipes for like date nut bars or brownies or all the different kinds of breads. What you want to do is you put a hand towel or a couple layers of paper towel.
Really?
And then you put your lid on, because if you don't,
what's the purpose of that?
There's going to be condensation as something cooks. It, you know, condensation here, and then you're going to have drips down there, and so this way it catches all the water.
It would be kind of soggy too, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Boy, that's
this works
amazing.
perfect.
Just like if you bake your bread in your bread pans and you take it out, I mean, you don't want to leave it in the bread pans cooling because it'll get soggy.
Moistness.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow. So how long would you cook it for?
So this takes, in an extra fast pot, it takes about an hour and a half to an hour and 3/4.
It's pretty easy.
The longest one if you have an average cooker, then it's going to be probably closer to 2 1/4 to 2.5 hours.
Okay.
But what I found is that most of these big pots, the 6 and 7 quarts, most of them, and I have several.
Yeah, 25.
They tend to be extra fast.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's more likely going to take about an hour and a half to an hour and 3/4.
So it's the smaller ones, because mine isn't real little, but it's smaller, and I think it's an average one probably.
Yeah.
It takes
smaller ones tend to be average or fast.
Right.
But it's a good idea to check it with the beans to make sure, especially if you're going to be gone. You really want to check it.
You don't want to
so
burn
that you
Now you have a cute little one I want to show our friends. This guy's cute.
Yeah, a lot of people have these little 1.5 quart pots. They don't even have a dial on them for temperature. But these are wonderful. You can make a 1/2 pound of beans in these.
Oh, good.
You can cook most anything that you would do in a bigger pot. You can use in these small ones, and it's going to come out just fine. I find that the temperature with these seems to be kind of right between a low and a high.
Right. Okay.
Because I have a few of those. And
it's like a medium.
Yeah.
Sort of. Right. That's neat. Good. All right. Now we're making dessert next. Some sort of dessert.
Yes, we are.
Can you guys imagine dessert in the crock pot? Boy, that's neat.
Yeah, we're going to make some banana bars.
Good. For our banana bars, coconut crunch banana bars. You need 3 medium bananas mashed, 3 cups dates chopped, 1 cup raw nuts chopped, 1/2 cup coconut, 1/2 teaspoon salt, and 1 cup of quick oats.
Well, Jill, here we have some coconut crunch banana bars. And this is a recipe that is very low in fat, and yet it's just and doesn't have any sugars added to it. But oh man, it's so sweet. It really has a lot of flavor to it.
And I love dessert, so
we're kindred hearts there.
That's right.
And so what we've started out with was mashed bananas. Now I have this recipe in a larger amount or a smaller amount, and here we're going to do the full larger recipe. So we've got about 1.5 cups of mashed bananas, and now we're going to add the rest of our things. We'll put the dates right in there, And then you can use any kind of chopped nuts as you'd like, and I'm using some walnuts here.
Yeah.
And then some coconut.
Oh, yeah.
And salt. And you just want to get this mixed up together. The thing, I've been playing around with this, and
Yes.
I left the oats out of this recipe, what we'll add next, but I used some wheat germ and flaxseed.
Oh.
And it was delicious. Again, because of the sweetness of this, you don't really notice.
Yes. Because the bananas are sweet.
Yeah, it just really has it. So you can put the oats in there.
Okay.
But if you want to leave those out, you can add like a half a cup of ground flaxseed and a half a cup of wheat germ.
Oh, that's neat. And flaxseed and wheat germ is really good for you too, right?
It is. It is.
So that's neat.
You just mix this
Mix it
up,
together.
and then if you want to get the pot there.
Now this is our crock pot. It's a different size than the last one.
Yep. This is about a 4-quart.
Okay.
Or no, it's a 3.5-quart oval.
Now it says on the front. I'm trying to look here. Does it say the size?
No, it doesn't.
So how are you supposed to know?
Okay, well, the way that if you don't have your box and don't know for sure what it is,
Okay.
you fill it up with water right to the brim.
Okay.
And then, like if I fill this up, I know that this is a 3.5-quart. It actually wouldn't hold 3.5 quarts of water.
Oh, it wouldn't?
No, it would be like roughly about a cup or two less than that.
Okay.
Because
so how can they say it's 3.5 quart when it's not 3.5 quart?
Jill, this is TV.
Oh.
We don't talk bad about companies. Or,
Okay.
They measure the circumference.
So it's the outside,
Yeah,
not the inside.
and that's how they determine. At least
That
that's
makes
what I was told by customer service, because I wondered the same thing.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
That makes sense.
Anyway.
Okay.
So, now we're going to just pour this right in.
Now I noticed that you've sprayed this one too.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, you want to spray it with a nonstick spray.
Would it say in your cookbook when to spray and when not to spray?
Yep.
Or good. Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't have to worry about that.
And so you're just going to mash it down. And then after you've got it nice and smooth down there, you're just going to pull it away from the side with your fork, about 1/4 of an inch.
Okay. What's the purpose
Because
of that?
the slow cookers, we call them slow cookers because that's the generic name. The technical, or Rival has the trade name called crock pots.
Right.
But so technically, the generic name is a slow cooker.
Okay.
But most slow cookers cook from the sides. Their heating elements are on the side.
Yes.
And so you want to pull this away. And that's why you can bake in a slow cooker, because it's not cooking from the bottom. If it cooked from the bottom,
it would burn.
which every once in a while people have slow cookers that cook from the bottom, but those are usually the kind that you set this insert onto a tray, and they call that a slow cooker, but it's cooking from the bottom. But like I say, almost all of them cook from the sides.
Okay.
And that way, since it's cooking from the sides, it won't burn the bottom. You're going to get brownness on the edges, and you do have to watch that. But
so do you pull it in a certain amount? I see it looks like maybe 1/2 inch or so.
Yeah. Well, about a quarter of an inch that you pull it in, because it is going to slide back out some.
Yes.
And then just like with the focaccia, you want to add a
is
towel
neat. Okay.
before you put your lid on so that it collects the condensation.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's really, and then it bakes on low.
Okay.
The same with the focaccia, you bake it on low.
Yeah, we did that on low too, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's going to take, for an average pot, it's about 2 to 2.5 hours. But if it's an extra fast pot, it's 1 hour and 3/4 to 2 hours. And your fast pot is right there in the middle.
Now, go ahead.
Well, and then you just let it bake, and then you can actually set the timer on this one also to let it start like 6 hours later.
Right.
And then you let it cool a little bit, and then you can slice them, and you can eat them just as they are, or you can put a little applesauce on there, or tofu cream, that sort of thing.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I'm going to school here, learning so much. That's wonderful. I was just going to ask you, I was trying to remember, did you say the oval pots were usually a faster cooker? Or
No,
was that not?
no,
Okay.
I was saying like the 6 or 7 quarts tend to cook
Gotcha.
faster than the smaller ones.
Well, good thing I asked you. Yeah, okay, well, that's neat. And then you just eat it and enjoy it. I can't wait to try that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can use it for a dessert, or you can use it at breakfast.
That's true. That's a good point. Now, let's give our friends at home your website one more time if they are interested in either cookbooks.
Sure. It's familyhealthpub.com.
familyhealthpub.com.
Yep.
Okay. Now you publish cookbooks, other people's cookbooks
That's
as well,
correct.
isn't that
Yep.
right?
Other cookbooks and other books on natural remedies. Yeah.
Oh, that's neat. So you've been doing this a while.
Yeah. Yeah. Actually, for I don't know, over 20 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So you've had the ministry, and you've been doing the cooking schools for, say, 30 years, you said, but
yeah.
at least doing the publishing for
Yes.
20 years. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Good. Well, I'm excited. I've learned a lot today.
Oh,
and
great.
in just a moment, friends, we will be back to show you our final products and all this good food we've made today, what it looks like.
We hope you've enjoyed today's program with JoAnn Rachor. Now let's take a moment to review our cooking in a slow cooker basic recipes. Great Northern, 5 to 5.5 cups of water, 1 pound dried Great Northern beans or other white bean, 1 chopped onion, 1 teaspoon extra virgin olive oil optional, 3/4 teaspoon salt, 2 tablespoons onion powder, 1 1/2 tablespoons of Mary Kay chicken seasoning, 1 teaspoon garlic powder, 1 cup fresh spinach finely chopped, optional. For our focaccia bread dough, you'll need 2/3 cup warm water, 1 tablespoon sweetener, honey or sugar, 1 tablespoon baking yeast, 1 cup whole wheat flour, 1/3 cup unbleached white flour, 1 tablespoon olive oil, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 3/4 to a cup of whole wheat flour, and the topping would be 1/4 to 1/3 cup combination of olives sliced, raw or sauteed onions, fresh tomatoes sliced, and a non-dairy cheese. For our Coconut Crunch banana bars, you will need 3 medium bananas mashed, 3 cups of dates chopped, 1 cup of raw nuts chopped, 1/2 cup coconut, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1 cup quick oats. If you would like to contact JoAnn Rachor, please call 3ABN at 800-752-3226 for more information. Or you may write to 3ABN, Post Office Box 220, West Frankfort, Illinois, 62896. Now let's take a look at our finished recipes with JoAnn.
Welcome back, friends. We're here with all this yummy looking food here, JoAnn.
Thank you.
Yeah, let's look at what we made today.
Okay. So we start out with our Great Northerns, and then next we go to the focaccia.
Yes, and that's made of the crock pot.
That's
And
correct.
That's fantastic.
Yep. Similar to a pizza. And then we have our Coconut Crunch banana bars.
Ooh, I can't wait to try that too. All that dessert, you know?
Yeah.
Man, that's wonderful. I was going to ask you before we end here, the focaccia, you could make focaccia, sweet focaccia as well, right? Besides
That's
the quote
right.
savory.
Yep. You can put some crushed pineapple, drained pineapple on there. You could put dried fruit on there. Maybe some toasted nuts that are chopped up, sprinkled around.
That sounds good.
Oh yeah, that would. Or a little applesauce would be good on there too.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to quite be made the way that we just made it today.
That's right.
Right. Good. Well, thank you for coming, JoAnn, and sharing
Thank
your
you.
talents
Thank
with
you very
us.
much, Jill.
I've learned so much about slow cooking too, about crock pots, so that's exciting. Well, friends, we hope that you had as much fun today as we've had doing all these slow cooker recipes for you. And until we see you next time, enjoy cooking, eat healthy, and stay well.